Yes. Misprison, the concealment or non-disclosure of a serious crime. By one who did not participate in the crime. Now, misprison of felony, that is the concealment of the commission of a felony, is a criminal act. A similar neglect to prevent or disclose the commission of a treason is misprison of treason. All misprisons are misdemeanors, and a misprison of a misdemeanor is too trifling an offense for criminal law to take cognizance of. Yes. Now there's that clerical misprison, the court clerk's mistake or fraud that is apparent from the record. Yes. Now we could say that the clerical misprison of using the felony of the ex officio's superior court clerk. Yes. Misprison of felony, kidnapping, ooch, grand larceny. Yeah. hmm Let's see, hate crimes. Ooch. And then there's quite a few other felonies. Yeah. And then misprison of treason, concealment or non-disclosure of someone else's treason. Now, for every sheriff in each county right now, for some reason, right, you seem to think that it's not an actual miscarriage of justice. I think it is. See, I didn't get any notice of actual court hearings before you issued the dissolution of marriage. Yes. And you issued a debt that each and every state's revenue department is obligated to collect. Yes. And you issued a debt that was converted to the actual public debt of the United States of America. Now, miscarriage of justice, a grossly unfair outcome in a judicial proceeding. Yeah. As when the defendant is convicted despite a lack of evidence on an essential element of the crime. Oh, the essential element of the crime. I was just reading that, Mr. Roberts. We talked about that yesterday. The element of the crime. Pooh. Well, you said I was incompetent and you dismissed the case because of the restoration laws? Yes. Why don't you get me all of those that had 1077s? Pooch. There could be a class action lawsuit. Yes. For the miscarriage of justice, the lack of evidence on an essential element of the crime. Now, let's say that I'm not, yes, the only individual in district or superior courts, yes, where you dismiss the charges against the individual because of incompetence. Because I think you've been doing this to a lot of people. Oh. Could be $300 billion today. Whew. It really starts to add up when you start adding it up, doesn't it? Now, I had to have a mental health evaluation in Clallam and Jefferson County. Yes. And there is the element of the crime of violation of a no contact order. Yes. Now, a miscarriage of justice, yes, is when the defendant is accused of violating the restraint provisions of a protection order, yes, and cyber stalking, and despite there being no evidence of any crime, yes, you obligate them to have a mental health evaluation right now, and then you dismiss it because you say that they're incompetent. Poop. Now, I would say that let's go ahead. Why don't you give me every protection order? Yes. And then the arrest for each and every protection order where you said that they violated the restraint provisions. Yes. And then you obligated them to have mental health evaluations where then you dismissed the charges against them because you said they were incompetent. Now, I would say, well, there's rules. There's the requirements of the law. Yes. And there's the rights of the accused. Now, this miscarriage of justice, it was grossly unfair. The outcome of the judicial proceeding, yes, grossly unfair. Oh. That you said I was incompetent for knowing I wasn't in Sequim, Washington. Yes, when I was emailing you that the petitioner didn't sign it and she had signed all the other protection orders right now. And then you used that misprison of the court clerk. Yes, to use a felony, forgery, imposter, clerical misprison. It's apparent from the fraud. Yes, it is. And then when I tell you about fraud and forgery, yes, you had me arrested and transported across county lines there in Jefferson County. Yeah, I would say that was a miscarriage of justice. Pooch. You obligated me to have a 1077 knowing I wasn't in Brendan, Washington. Yes. Knowing that I didn't email any third party. Yes. That I did not, an email sent Mr. Budnick on June 16th to numerous recipients. Yes. Now, I did have a folder in one of the drives that might have been the 777 drive. Yes. Where I printed off what could have been approximately 2,000 email addresses, probably 600 to 800 different of them. Yes. And I never emailed any people at Heidi Budnick's workplace. Right. I didn't email any persons at the Brennan School District. Yes. And I didn't email any of the persons that work in the Quilcene School District. Right. Now, since this gross injustice, yes, a miscarriage of justice, right, that no actual evidence, and you remember Brady, boop, Hobbs, that the essential elements to actually have me arrested for the allegation of the crime did not exist because I had personally emailed the police department on June 16th of 2017. Yeah. I was at the senior center that day. Yeah. But the Port Angeles Police Department made me go to court for 16 fucking months right now. Yeah, the grossly unfair outcome of a judicial proceeding, yes, is when you have me arrested in Sequim, Washington for a failure to appear, yes, because you sent the court notice to 1023 Kitchen Dick Road, yes, and then I document that Mike Van Proy Pooch has committed numerous felonies and you refuse to arrest him. And then I tell you that I want to speak to his wife about where she wants to live at. Yes, let's go ahead. And you say, well, no, we're going to just keep the Van Proyn household right there. I think it's, well, let's look at it. Okay. Let's look at it. Okay. I think this is a huge miscarriage. Now, are you angry with me today? You arrested me on January 4th. Yes. For the probable cause that I was in Sequim, Washington when I was in Port Angeles. Yes. You made me have a mental health evaluation where you said I was bipolar and schizophrenic. Yes. And then you dismissed the case saying I was incompetent. You refused to admit any evidence because there was no evidence at all. It's a